by. Ooh, Tiger. He's about to be the butt of like every comedian's joke. Like, watch out on the roadways. Here comes Tiger Woods.
I know, again.
He can drive it on the course, but he can't drive it on the road.
I do wonder.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Write that down.
Write that down. Right, copyright to me.
Okay.
Starbucks has a pup cup. Yes, for sure. I've taken Cruz to the pup cups.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, Tammy.
I think we will have to hop off now. It's almost that time.
Jess is telling me, shut up. We gotta go. Yes, we'll cut into Garrett's. You guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.
Hold on. We should be off, so I think.
Stories and live events from across the country and across the world.
Day of No Kings protests across the country and here in Florida. I'm Garrett Wymer, and we appreciate you joining us. Over the next 3 hours, we are going to be taking a look at protests in our area and around the country, really. Thousands of protest sites that are signed up for these protests today, including a number in our area. Right now, though, let me give you a live look in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. You can see a march there with a large banner, a number of people holding signs there. Again, this is through the streets of Washington, D.C. They are one of the cities that is having a protest going on right now. Even 10 o'clock was a fairly common start time. Some of them are beginning a little bit later. Let me also give you a live look. I don't have a live look right now in Atlanta. Let me give you a live look in St. Pete, where there are a group of protesters there. Going to be a group in Tampa coming up in just a little bit. I believe theirs starts at 2 o'clock. So we are talking protests all across the region, speaking out against President Trump and some of the actions of his administration, including the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. We know downtown Orlando has an event that's going to be starting in about an hour, so we'll check in there in just a little bit as well. But right now, I want to get you to Seminole County, where a large group of protesters has shown up in downtown Sanford, and that's where Fox 35's Matt Trezza is joining us live now from the streets of downtown Sanford. We may be having some trouble with our connection there. Trying to see if Matt, are you able to hear me, Matt?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and check in then with Fox 35's Matt Trezza joining us live from downtown Sanford, where a crowd has gathered. We're hearing music, lots of signs. Matt, it looks like a big crowd out there.
Yeah, there is a very large crowd out here. We're on First Street in downtown Sanford, and there is a crowd of people that is packed along this street that goes to Sanford Avenue down one end and down to 1792 on the other end. There are thousands and thousands of people out here, all holding banners, waving the American flag, chanting, singing. It's a very joyous atmosphere, I would describe it as. Again, thousands of people out here voicing their displeasure with this administration. And to talk more about why they're out here and the message that I hope to give, I'm joined by Dylan Kelly. He's with the Seminole County Democrats. Tell me about what's going on here today in this turnout.
Well, thank you. This is the the third No Kings protest that we have done here in Seminole County. We did the previous two in Castleberry, and today, for the first time, we're here in downtown Sanford, and we are here since October. There's been a lot that's happened between now and currently what's happening now, and we're here to basically continue our sustained protest against what we believe to be an administration that is overreaching its authority and is destroying the democratic principles that this country was founded on, and we're here to take a stand against that peacefully.
Gotcha. I've covered several of these. This may be the fourth or fifth of these No Kings protests that I've been covering. Tell me, in your opinion, how have they changed or evolved since the first one?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed is since I'm, a primary organizer of one of these of the events here in Seminole County, I've noticed that we've really learned a lot from, what we've done on our past protests. We've really got the process down to a science. We have this protest, organized in zones with for folks with different needs. We have a zone for families. We have a zone for folks that need a little bit more of a quieter space. And then we just have the general zone that we're in now, where it's just loud and crazy and people are speaking their minds. But we always are consistently, from beginning to end, we've kept it peaceful, we've kept it orderly. We've had no incidents, up until now to really suggest that there's really been any problems. And I really just, one of the things that always amazes me and with the rest of the volunteers that I work with is just how hard we work at making these protests as special as they are, and the fact that everybody here just comes and has a good time while they're standing up for their rights and standing up for their freedoms and the principles of democracy.
For sure. And as the time has gone on, as far as the message that you are trying to give, there's been a lot that this administration has been doing for both, I guess, in the perspective of the people who support it and the people who are against it. As far as what your concerns are or the message that you're trying to give, how has that changed and what is it currently? What are the grievances that you're hoping to address?
Well, for one, I think a lot of what the administration has done in response to backlash has largely been because of efforts like this, especially when we're talking about in Minneapolis and the murders that went down there by ICE agents. The change in leadership, so to say, really happened because of sustained pressure and sustained protests all over the country, just like this. And originally when we organized this in response to a lot of what was going on in Minneapolis. And when we're talking about overreach of the president's authority, especially against U.S. citizens, that is exactly what we're talking about. And I think really, if anything, what this shows is that pressure like this works. It actually forces change. It gets people to listen. And there's still a lot more to go. I mean, obviously, we now have the war in Iran, which is completely unconstitutional, totally illegal. And a lot of folks here, we have a lot of signs that are protesting against that, too. So it's really a never-ending thing. I mean, we've been dealing with Trump for 10 years. I've been at anti-Trump demonstrations for over 10 years, ever since he's been, a figure in American politics. And really the thing is, you just got to keep the pressure going. And we're not going to stop until we feel that our democracy is actually being honored and we're actually living in the country that we recognize.
Everybody has the right to speak their mind. I understand there are some counter-protesters who you've encountered since you've been here. What's your way of approaching them and handling them? Have they been trying to make trouble at all?
Yes, we do have a couple of counter-protesters here that have been trying to make trouble, but our policy here is very firmly not to engage. And the overwhelming majority of our protesters here do not engage with agitators. There's no point in doing so. It's a waste of time. It takes away from the vibe. And we know that's exactly what they want to do. They're specifically trying to get folks to lash out against them so that they can make some kind of point. And they often say very, very incendiary, hateful, terrible things to do so. But we know the trick. And we have a number of folks in yellow vests. We call those our resistance rangers. They've been doing this ever since the very beginning. Their job is specifically to de-escalate those situations and to keep protesters and agitators away from one another and to also de-escalate where necessary. I've de-escalated a couple of confrontations before, and they've always resulted in no harm to anybody. And we prefer to keep it that way. And we work closely also with the police as well. They've even, commended us for our ability to organize these protests and to keep them peaceful. And the fact that we are collaborating and reaching out with them. We're not here to make trouble. It's not that kind of event. It's not that kind of action.
What do you think about the turnout and how everybody's conducting themselves and all that?
Everybody's conducting themselves exactly as we expected and exactly as we had hoped, for the environment. People are making their voices heard. They're speaking, assertively, but they're also keeping within their democratic rights and their First Amendment rights and speaking their minds, assembling, and doing so without bringing harm to anybody else.
Do you think the administration will get this message? I mean, we saw a pullback after protests in Minneapolis.
I will be frank, knowing Donald Trump and knowing the way that he's reacted in the past, I am not going to assume that he is going to respond well. Last time he had featured a video of an AI-generated video of a plane dumping feces on protesters in New York. That's the kind of thing that I sort of expect from this president. But to be honest, at the end of the day, you can post things on social media, but what counts is policy. And if we see a reining in of ICE, an end to the war in Iran, a number of other things that we are demanding out here, we're going to know that the actions speak louder. And that's really the response that matters to me. He can post whatever he wants on social media as far as I'm concerned. I just want to see results. I want to see this nation healed.
Is there anything else you want to tell me or let me know?
I think that's about it. If you feel the same as us, please join us. There's another protest happening in downtown Orlando from noon to 2. There's other ways to get involved. I am with the Seminole County Democratic Party, but there's a number of organizations out here. This isn't an explicitly partisan event, although we do have a hand in helping organize here. If you want to get involved beyond protests, join your local Democratic Party, join a local organization such as the Umbrella Brigade, who is out here, or Indivisible. They do a lot of work to help keep democracy alive in Seminole County. They can get you into the pipeline of candidates who feel the same as you do, who have the same principles that you do. And I just encourage everybody to get involved, whatever way they feel they can. There's so many other ways to get involved too that I'm not even mentioning, but reach out. There are people that feel just like you. You're not alone.
And have you been coordinating with law enforcement on this?
Yes, we do coordinate. There are law enforcement currently at the end. Like I said earlier, there is a gentleman out there that is trying to agitate, but we have a good relationship with law enforcement. And we've had even law enforcement in the past have been very helpful in keeping everything orderly.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
We're going to stay out here, keep an eye on things, but for now I'm going to send it back to you, Garrett.
All right, Fox 25's Matt Trezza, we appreciate you joining us live from Sanford at that protest out there. Looks like a big crowd. We appreciate you joining us. And we will check back in with Matt in a little bit. He'll be heading to Orlando as well for that protest that begins at noon. That one's right downtown. And so we'll be checking in on that one as well. I want to let you know we are continuing to monitor protests all across the region and across the area. Here's a get you live to St. Pete right now, where we're hearing from a couple of the protesters in the crowd.
So I think, if we're silent, we're complicit and we're allowing things to happen, and I just can't be silent.
Same with her. I think she's told me a lot about what's been going on with everything, and she's really just taught me right from wrong, and I think that I've also seen that myself with other my friends too, and how they can be affected from it. So
is there anything in particular that you're fearing or you think has been negatively impacted?
I mean, to be honest, I fear that we just started World War III. I fear that there's going to become a point where we're going to have to escape in the middle of the night. I think that when we really look at what's happening and are honest with ourselves, I think things are a lot more scary than people believe. And, I fear for what's happening for our country. People say let the judicial system handle it, but, the judicial system takes years to prosecute, and things aren't being done. Trump is signing things into law without any approval from, Congress and the Senate, and that's not the way this country works, but that's what's happening. So to me, I'm very afraid.
And is this your first time going to one of these protests?
No.
How many have you been to?
These I've been to a couple, but her first protest ever, I pulled her around in a wagon. She was really little. I've never taught her to think anything. I've taught her to think for herself, and I'm really proud of her for being here.
Yeah. And for you guys, what's it kind of like, attending these events together as mother-daughter?
I think it's great. I think it's also a bonding experience because we both think these things and we both get to make signs together. I think it's just fun to be here and fun to speak our minds too while being out here.
Yeah. It's cool to see the change. The first one of these was probably an eighth of this size, and I think we're seeing a change in the country. We're seeing people who are no longer going to stand for what's happening and that, are willing to stand up and have their voices heard. So it's an amazing experience.
Anything else you ladies want to add?
No?
So a live look there from St. Pete on this Saturday morning as we track these protests across the country. We are also getting a response from Republican lawmakers and those in power as well. You're going to hear coming up in just a little bit from Congressman Fine, a Republican from Florida, who spoke with us about these protests. So you're going to hear from him coming up in just a little bit. But we also have a statement from the White House about this. They White House spokesperson putting out this statement yesterday saying the only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them. So that's the statement from a White House spokesperson on these protests that we are seeing across the country today. We still have much more to come over the next 2 hours and 45 minutes as we live stream and take a look at many of these protests across the country and across Florida. So keep it right here on YouTube, Facebook, Fox Local. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more coverage after this. Hey, Jamie, it's Garrett. Can you hear me? Oh, hey, Jamie. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Hey, Garrett.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. Happy Saturday. How are you?
Yeah, happy Saturday. I'm doing Welcome back into our Fox 35 News Plus coverage of No Kings protests across the country. This is a live aerial look from Atlanta right now, where you can see a big crowd at a park there, right off the interstate that runs right through town there. This is again courtesy of WAGA in Atlanta, and giving you a live look at the protests there. Let me also give you another live look as the marches continue. In Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. You can see the reflecting pool, the Lincoln Memorial, and a large crowd marching with many signs and a large banner at the very front there that says No Kings. So we are continuing to see these, and these will just pick up throughout the day as well. More protests going this afternoon. The main, what organizers are kind of calling the flagship event, is in Minneapolis later today. There's going to be a march and then a rally set for Minneapolis that is going to be held around 3 o'clock. Bernie Sanders, senator from Vermont, going to be one of the keynote speakers at that rally in Minneapolis today. So we'll be monitoring that as well. But we want to bring in one of our law enforcement experts. You heard Matt Trezza talking with the organizers in Seminole County. They said they have coordinated this with law enforcement. They're taking steps to make sure everything stays safe. But we want to get a law enforcement perspective on this. So we're going to bring in Jamie Copenhaver, who's a former sheriff's detective and investigator. And Jamie, always good talking with you. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Happy Saturday. Good to be with you, Garrett.
Yeah, happy Saturday. So we are talking protests again, not just here in Florida, but across the country, really. And so I'm curious from a law enforcement perspective, what all goes into preparations for large events like this in so many different cities?
Each city is going to be responsible, Garrett, for their own safety or protection as it pertains to law enforcement and first responders. We've had a couple of practice runs, right? This is the second or third march that we've had from this group. Mostly peaceful. We've not seen a lot of violence in any of these prior marches. So, it's a lot of communication between law enforcement and the organizers of these No Kings Day protests. And, you want to keep that protest in a cordon area in conjunction with law enforcement so everyone can be protected. So, as Matt has reported out there, there's not a large crowd, but there's a large crowd gathering. And as that day progresses out there, they're going to keep it contained within that certain area. Here's the good news, Garrett. The organizers of these marches are working with law enforcement because no one wants to get hurt. We don't want to have any incidents. So it just takes a lot of good communication and a lot of good planning, which we see that it's working.
Yeah, and this is a live look right now in Atlanta. In the aerial view there, you can see a large crowd out there. We also know that anytime you're talking about political topics like this, there are often groups of counter-protesters that show up. We heard in Sanford there were a couple of counter-protesters out there. But how do you make sure that tensions don't rise when you are talking big crowds out there and heated topics, things that can escalate if we're not careful?
Well, I mean, first of all, everyone has a First Amendment right to go out and speak and yell and get a megaphone and honk horns and what have you, right? Until you don't. And what I mean by that, Garrett, if you have a counter protester that comes up and start engaging a tit for tat, if you will, and we've seen this play out on a number of different marches, what's going to happen is law enforcement's not going to go in and pluck them out right away. They're going to allow them to speak. But if it turns any shade of violence, they're going to pluck those bad actors out, whether it's protesters or counter protesters, to extradite them out of that area so it doesn't incite more people to become agitators and violent, if you will. So, everyone has their First Amendment, but we have to do it under the guidelines and the rules, which, dictates you can go out and blow horns, use a megaphone, but you cannot, be putting hands on people, shoving and pushing, which we've seen in a few of these in the past. Not so much this group, but in other protests it turns violent.
Yeah, and is there a, when you are talking about something that is constitutionally protected, I would imagine that is something that can be a tough line to walk sometimes for law enforcement to make sure you're not violating someone's rights, but also at the same time making sure things don't get out of hand if there is some sort of confrontation. So how do you kind of walk that tightrope?
First of all, I want to give some credit to the organizers of these No Kings Day protests, Garrett. They're doing them early in the mid-afternoon, if you will, up until dark, and most of them are shutting down right at dark 30. So, we've seen these play out before in other protests and other groups where that extends into the nightfall. And, when it gets dark, the bad actors come out. So a lot of good communication there. In terms of protecting people's rights, I mean, it's exactly the way you explained it. You have the First Amendment right to go out and gather on a public street to protest until you don't. And what I mean by that is, we've seen in other protests, rocks, bricks, bottles, Molotov cocktails on the violent side of this thing. And what law enforcement is doing today is keeping a fine-tuned comb, if you will, on all the protesters to make sure everyone's organized and committed to staying safe and not going the violent way. And, unfortunately, Garrett, the protesters out there are probably the best people you'll ever see, right? But unfortunately, you're going to have the agitators that come into town and they want to make a bigger voice. And those are the bad actors that we see getting plucked out of these large crowds, are often people that aren't even organized in the original protest.
What is a law enforcement strategy in something like this? Do you think in some of these protests we see, yes, we often see a bit of a law enforcement presence, but that also could be something that you want to make sure is not too much of a presence, and at the same time, where we might see some undercover officers in the crowd as well?
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to have people that are engaged in an undercover capacity in all of these crowds to take the temperature, if you will. You want to hear the chatter. You want to know before these uniform officers know if something is about to go down that would turn violent. And then, of course, in terms of the show of force, you want uniformed officers out there with the uniform of the day that they normally wear. You don't want officers out in riot gears and helmets that we've seen in the past, because that draws attention to law enforcement. And those marches always will turn on the cops because of the way they're dressed. You don't want to overdress, but you want to show up with command presence, which we see quite often here in these protests locally. But you're going to have a ERT or emergency response team on standby, Garrett. Should this become unruly, they can call in backup. That's when you may see potentially guys in riot gear and helmets. But you're not going to see it on the street in Sanford today. They don't want to incite violence or incite problems.
You also talked about many of these protests being held during the day. How does that, in some ways, really just kind of lessen tension to begin with?
I mean, daylight is the best, right? I mean, whatever you can see in day. If you have a group of rowdy people that, let's say, that are not really part of the organization that are coming there to cause problems, you're going to be able to spot those folks in the daytime, more so at night. But here's the other thing too: alcohol always comes into play on these protests. People get alcoholed up at home, if they will. They'll see this play out on the TV and they're like, I want to go voice my opinion. Well, they go down there. A lot of these guys will go up intoxicated, and they start really inciting the crowd. You're going to have pro and counter protesters out there. You don't want to see that, right? You want to keep the bad actors out of town, for the lack of better words. And I think the way they're doing these in the broad daylight is certainly better. It's safer. I would suspect they would have to have a permit for this large of a gathering. So once again, the city or the county is going to be into that planning. Also, the law enforcement leaders are going to be involved in that planning to direct these people to shut it down at dark, if you will. And,
what all goes into, you talk about the permitting and that kind of thing as well. That it probably just is so that law enforcement and others can help know a little bit more of what to expect with this, because it does seem like these organizers that we've talked to have made it clear they want things to remain peaceful. They've given directions to the people not to engage with counter protesters or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, let's take the one that Matt's at up in Sanford and can compare that to Minneapolis, right? Minneapolis is going to be 3 or 4 times larger than what we've seen in Sanford so far. So you want that planning prior to, Garrett, which is part of the permit process. If you come in and you're estimating that you're going to have 1,100 marchers, you pretty much know how many first responders and law enforcement you need for that. Of course, people always come in that aren't registered. I follow these folks online. They have a pretty good online presence in terms of signing up and registering. They have some outstanding rules that are publicized on their website, what they expect the protesters to do and not to do. So, at least they're trying to keep this focused on protesting and getting the voice out rather than, getting the violence and the unpeaceful, ruly people out there. So, kudos to the guys that are protesting, that are organized this, because I think they're very organized. And today it shows clearly they're working with law enforcement in unison to keep that march and protest safe. Minneapolis, we may see a whole different side out there just due to the large size, but it's a pretty much nationwide organization that's going to be registering people as you go. I've gotten 3 or 4 emails today. Make sure you get registered and read the rules. So, they're at least trying to make it safe, Garrett.
And we've got this live picture up. I wanted to pull this one back up from Atlanta because you could see these protesters marching, and you see that law enforcement presence there blocking off some of the roads. Saw it looked like an officer on a bike, and then some others in some visibility gear. So the presence is certainly out there and being seen, but a lot of different aspects and intricacies to this, as we were just talking about Jamie Copenhaver, former sheriff's detective and investigator. We always appreciate your expertise and your perspective, and thanks so much for joining us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Yeah, good to see you. And we have been continuing to watch these protests, those images that we've been showing you over the past few minutes from Washington, D.C., as this one is, and then also a couple of images live from Atlanta, including this aerial view and then a view from the ground as well, where you can see someone with a Free Palestine flag there, a number of signs and flags being waved, a lot of American flags as well, but I see some pride flags and some signs that can't exactly make out what they say from here right now. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be right back with more live coverage today of No Kings protests here in Florida and across the country in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus and our live streaming coverage today of No Kings protests across Florida and across the country. We are seeing several in our area right now, including some that we don't have a presence at. But here's just some of the locations here in Florida that are going on at this hour, many of them starting at noon. DeLand, New Smyrna Beach, Lake Mary, Sanford, where we checked in with the Fox 35's Matt Trezza just a little bit ago, Palm Bay, Ocala, Point Siena, Leesburg, The Villages, Claremont, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Palm Coast and Kissimmee started at 11. We're going to have crews in Orlando and also in North Brevard County and Coco coming up at noon. Then there are more events this afternoon in Orange City, Mount Dora, and then an event in Baldwin Park coming up later this evening. Meanwhile, let me give you a live look right now in Atlanta. This is another view of some of the crowds that have been marching there. We also know that crowds have been marching in Washington, D.C. Oh, so this is, hold on, this is Atlanta. This is the kind of the area, the scene on the ground, and this is the aerial view showing what we were just watching there as they cross that overpass there. So a large crowd, it looks like, in Atlanta, and as we talked about, the kind of flagship event that organizers have said coming up this afternoon in Minneapolis. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that as well. But joining us now to talk about the politics of all of this and this unique moment in history and the politics of protest and where things stand right now. We've got Rich Rubino, who's an independent political analyst and author, joining us live now via Zoom. And Rich, always good talking with you. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Rich, I just want to first get your thoughts on what we're seeing out there. I know this is I believe, third National No Kings Day of protests that we've seen. This is obviously seems to be a movement that is not going away.
No, not at all. And this is really an exhibition of the discontent there is on the left and in some case the center and the center left against Donald Trump. We've certainly seen this in history, whether it goes back to certainly the ones I think most Americans think back to are the anti-Vietnam protests, but there was also the civil rights protests in the 1960s. Before that, there was the bonus march when World War I veterans wanted bonuses for wanted bonuses early during the Great Depression. But this really shows the discontent that there really is on the left, and I think that people who organized this protest were very scrupulous to make sure these happened also in red parts of the country, so that it does not appear that it's only in liberal areas. It's only in places like Cambridge, Massachusetts, or San Francisco, but it's really all over the country.
Now, you mentioned some of those kind of previous eras where protest played such a large role in kind of pushback politically. Why do you think that has become such a big part of the political and anti-Trump movement that we're seeing now?
I think because it shows that whatever Donald Trump does, that there are people who are going to push back on that. I talked about the civil rights protests, for example. There were protests in Alabama and on the MS Pettus Bridge, and there were some of the police officers who ended up beating some of the protesters. This showed up on television. There was a complete backlash against it, and that allowed Lyndon Johnson to get the Voting Rights Act passed in 1965, for example. And then there were also protests later on in the 1960s against Lyndon Johnson, the Vietnam War, which helped to lead Lyndon Johnson to making the decision in 1968 not to seek a second full term as president. But I think that it's a way that I think people have seen in the past that it has been effective. A lot of it depends on the numbers, and the more people you can get out, the more protests you can get. Sometimes in the more even in the more conservative parts like Wyoming, Utah, and Idaho, it shows that America is not monolithically in favor of Donald Trump. Now, that being said, there still are very many people who are in favor of Donald Trump. But I think Donald Trump would say that that's a silent majority. But if you look at the polls, Donald Trump's job approval rating is currently under 40%. So he is underwater. And this does show that there are many people in America who are there's very much a backlash, if you will, against Donald Trump and against Donald Trump's policies.
And we're giving you a live look right now. That is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where this flagship event is going to be held. I believe Bruce Springsteen is performing. Bernie Sanders is going to be there. Minneapolis kind of ground zero right now in this anti-Trump push after what happened over the past few months with the run-ins with federal agents, shootings as well. And it seems like some of what we saw in Minneapolis really was a spark in some ways for this push that has continued with the shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security and a number of other things as well. So how does that, what we saw in Minneapolis, play into some of what we're seeing today and what has seemed to be a growing push and outrage from some circles against this administration?
Yes, absolutely. And it really all started in Minneapolis. You can go back to Minneapolis. There were a lot of protests involving the George Floyd incident back during COVID, back during 2020. But you said this is really the flagship part. The flagship protest is really in Minneapolis. That's where a lot of the angst really is. That's where a lot of that is where kind of the high level speakers are going to be. Bernie Sanders is certainly going to be there, as you say. Bruce Springsteen's going to be there. But I think that the movement wanted to make sure that it is not only in the cities, it is not only seen as something that's urban, but it's also something that's rural. There are about 3,200 protests in all 50 states and all territories around the country. And I think that from a political standpoint, it might probably be more advantageous for the movement to show off the protests that they have in places like Shreveport, Louisiana, for example, where Speaker Mike Johnson represents, just to show that it's really widespread and it's not just in liberal areas like Minneapolis or San Francisco or Cambridge.
What role does the war in Iran right now play into this, do you think?
I think that is really I think it plays quite a major role. I think this is something when the No Kings protests during the last two protests, very few people had it on their radar, a war with Iran. This is a very war-weary republic right now. If you go back, Afghanistan was very popular when America went in and invaded to try to oust the Taliban, when America went in and ousted Saddam Hussein. The Iraq War was relatively popular, but Americans did not see victories, and we really became a war-weary republic, if you will. Donald Trump, when he ran in 2016, talked about forever wars. When he ran in 2020, he kind of showed off the fact that he was the first president since Jimmy Carter that did not bomb any country, that did not start a war, if you will. But I think that what happened in Iran, also Venezuela to a smaller extent, was really the opposite of what Donald Trump had promised. So I think that's something that the Iran war is relatively unpopular with the public, and it's just another of a litany of issues that is kind of burned up against that, and that has really effectuated widespread discontent with Donald Trump. Now, again, there are still many Americans, millions of Americans, in fact, that do support Donald Trump, but the most vocal right now are those that do not support him, and the war in Iran is relatively unpopular right now, unlike Afghanistan was, unlike Iraq was at the beginning, and unlike, frankly, even Vietnam was. 1964, 1965, all three of those wars were popular at the time of the beginning of the war. But unlike those three wars, this is a war that is relatively unpopular. I think many believe this is a war, as the rhetoric of the opposition says, this is a war of choice, not a war of necessity, and that they would believe, those on the left anyways, and some in the center would say that there is really no imminent threat here.
And you bring up opposition to the war, and it's something that we've even seen some opposition and criticism and pushback from members of the president's own party. And so, when you're talking about some of the grievances that are being aired at these protests across the country today, it would have been easy for Republicans, for the past two, to say, well, this is all Democrat led. This is a Democrat movement. But now we're seeing, even with some pushback from Republicans when it comes to the war, how does that kind of change some of the calculus and some of the pressure facing the Trump administration in this moment?
Well, the opposition is really from the libertarian right. Folks like Thomas Massey of Kentucky and the congressman from Kentucky, and Rand Paul, the United States Senator from Kentucky. But it's really a non-interventionist. There's a non-interventionist history in the Republican Party, going all the way back to Warren G. Harding, who came in 1921. I think that this really is kind of a tete-a-tete, if you will, in the conservative movement between the more traditional conservatives, some of them, what's called the neoconservatives, who came into the Republican Party in the early 80s, who are very much interventionist overseas. After the end of the Cold War, there was a split between the more libertarian or non-interventionist Republicans who said the United States needs to come home, and the more interventionist Republicans who say the United States, after the Cold War, is the unipolar superpower, and the United States needs to really show its leverage on the world stage, if you will. But that libertarian right is very much opposed to Donald Trump's policies, and you see Rand Paul suggesting that he might seek the presidential nomination in 2028, which would be interesting because J.D. Vance, the vice president, when he ran for the United States Senate seat the first time around against the Democrat Tim Ryan, he very much advertised himself as a non-interventionist. Now he's really kind of become part and parcel of the Trump administration, and really kind of enveloped into that administration and their policies on Iran. So now he's becoming sort of a part of the interventionist wing of the Republican Party. It'd be very interesting to see in 2028 how he whether he continues to allocate himself to Donald Trump, or if he tries to separate himself and becomes more of a non-interventionist to kind of propitiate that libertarian right a little bit.
Rich, do these protests, do they make a mark? Do they make a statement? Will we see lasting impact from a day like today, or after everyone goes home, puts their signs away, and moves on to tomorrow, it's kind of forgotten? Do you think these make a mark and make an impact?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I think the ones in the early 2000s, 2009, 2010, the Tea Party rally, for example, the Tea Party kind of gradually dissipated. Some would say that the Donald Trump movement was a successor of the Tea Party movement. I think the march, I think that the Occupy Wall Street movement kind of died. But there are some that have had direct impact, and I go back to the civil rights protests in Birmingham, Alabama. People saw that on television, they saw the reaction, and they saw that there were so many They saw so many civil rights workers. This precipitated the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This Lyndon Johnson talked about it actually in an address to Congress and ended it by saying, "We shall overcome," and that really got that passed. Later on again in the Johnson administration, you had Vietnam, and the Vietnam War protesters kind of in many respects made it so that President Johnson was so unpopular that he came within 6 points of losing the New Hampshire primary to anti-war candidate and relatively unknown senator from Minnesota named Eugene McCarthy. And this basically partly effectuated Lyndon Johnson announcing in March 31st of 1968 that he would not seek the re-election himself. So it has had some effect. It really depends on the protests. Sometimes they die out. Other times they have direct effects. And then they have. I think that for the anti-war movement, I mean for the whole anti-Trump movement, I think that for them a victory would be an impeachment and a conviction, which you have to have a Democrat in the House, a Democrat Senate, and in order to for the president to be convicted, you have to have two-thirds of the Senate to vote for him to be convicted, which is almost a non-starter with most Republicans likely not voting for his conviction. So I think that a real victory, perhaps after 2026, would be in 2028 for them to get a Democrat elected as president. I think they would say in his history that was very similar to the Voting Rights Act, to getting the Voting Rights Act passed, or to getting President Johnson not to seek a second term.
Independent political analyst Rich Rubino, an author. We appreciate your perspective. Thanks so much for joining us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. I want to get you live now to Chicago, where we were looking at some of the live pictures there. This is a rally that's being held, and you can look at a photo or a portrait, a painting of Alex Preddy in the background, one of those who was killed in Minneapolis, like we were just talking about with Rich, and the spark that provided to this anti-Trump movement and the anti-ICE movement as well. Let's go ahead and listen in live from Chicago at this rally that's going on at a protest there.
We have to provide the needs that our neighbors have that are not being met today by our government. But it's not only about service. We're going to vote, aren't we, this November? But it's not only about voting. It's about standing up. It's about fighting. It's about marching. It's about showing up. It's about demonstrating this beautiful, diverse movement of people demanding something different. And here is the thing that I want us all to remember. And I know it can be hard to remember this as we see the attacks and the outrages coming at us in different ways every single day. We are growing. We are growing in numbers. We are growing in power. The other side is crumbling. They are beginning to weaken. They are getting scared. They are already starting to back down. And as we see that happen, we fight back stronger, we fight back louder. As they become more brutal, we become more peaceful. As they become more ugly, we become more joyful. We do it with solidarity. We do it with love. And my friends, I tell you this with confidence in my heart, we will win. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Biss. Our next two speakers, we're going to ask Colleen Connell to come up, the Executive Director of the ACLU of Illinois, followed by Anaya Ayub, a Glenbrook South High School senior. Receive them now.
Good morning. Thank you, Indivisible, for joining us together and for distilling that we the people have the power. 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 Have the power. So I want to talk briefly about what you all know, which is that the fall elections are so critically important. The ACLU, both here in Illinois, which is not a voter suppression state, and across the country, is fighting every day in court to protect the right to vote. But we, the people, have a critically important role that we have to play to keep our elections safe, open, and accessible. The first thing we need to do is we need to continue to work to prevent the passage of the SAVE Act in Congress. If passed, that law would disenfranchise more than 22 million American voters. No. Now, Senator Duckworth and Senator Durbin are standing firm against the enactment of the SAVE Act. But we need to prevail on every other Democrat in the Senate and some Republicans to keep that no in place. How many of us have friends or family members in red states? Raise your hand. Let me see your hands. All of us. All of us. So we need to talk to our friends and family members and get them to say to their senators, do not pass the SAVE Act, because we the people will prevail. And I need you to start thinking now, in late March, about what we all are going to do, what each of us is going to do to protect the fall elections. Volunteer to be an election worker. Think about going to neighboring states that may need voter or election protection work and volunteering. Because at the end of the day, we the people will prevail. 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 Thank you very much.
Good morning, Evanston. How are we feeling today? My name is Anaya Ayub, and I'm a junior at Glenbrook South High School. As a young person, our generation is often told that we are the people to make the change. The power is in our hands. But the decisions that shape our future are already being made without our voices. So let me ask you, who here believes one person should have the power to take us to war? No! Exactly. We are here because of a promise made in 1776 that no one person could have unchecked power. That promise shaped our government. Power limited. Leaders held accountable. Yet today, that sacred promise is being violated. President Donald Trump has declared war against Iran unconstitutionally. Military strikes have been carried out, troops have been deployed, and lives have been lost. This is not policy. This is unconstitutional expansion of executive power. Every time we allow this to happen, we set a dangerous precedent. We are moving from a system where the people decide to one where one tyrannical leader does. This is precisely the kind of authority the Founding Fathers warned against. Wars are funded by us, taxpayers. Billions of dollars have already been spent on military operations instead of schools, healthcare, and infrastructure. We feel it in rising gas prices, higher food and transportation costs, and economic instability. These burdens do not fall evenly. They are carried most heavily by us, working Americans. We need to be honest. This is not a war caused by a direct threat or attack on the United States. This is not our war, and it is not our battle to fight. So let me ask you this. In this war for the United States, is there a clear national interest? No! Is there a clear strategy? No! Is there a clear end in sight? No! There is no justification for risking American lives. Beyond all of this, there is something bigger at stake, our democracy. War concentrates power, it weakens oversight, and it silences debate. When people's voices are ignored at home here, how can we claim to defend democracy anywhere else? The question isn't just what is happening, it's what we're going to do about it. We're here today, but what will happen tomorrow? First, call and write to your representatives. Demand a vote. If it's worth fighting, it's worth voting on. Second, show up consistently. Our protest is not enough. Movements win through persistence. Third, make this political. Question your candidates. Vote like it matters, because it does. And beyond this, volunteer in your communities. Support those struggling. Talk to people. Bring the conversation with others. Pay attention and make sure others do the same. Change doesn't happen when people watch. It only happens when we act. The principle of No Kings was never just about rejecting a monarch. It's about rejecting unchecked power in all of its forms. No Kings is not just a slogan, but a warning against unchecked power, war without consent, and leaders without accountability. So repeat after me. We will not give up our power. We will not give up our power. No unchecked war. No unchecked war. No silent approval. No silent approval. No thrones. No thrones. No crowns. No crowns. And no kings. No kings. Thank you, everybody.
Let's give it up for Colleen and Anaya, y'all. Do you feel good about our future with that coming up? Come on, somebody. Going to ask our next speaker to come up to the stage as a representative of the Latino community. Let's welcome Stephanie Mendoza. She will be followed by another song from the Evanston Resistance Singers.
Look at this group. Look at this group of your senior activist group of Evanston that sage.
That protest event continuing right now in Chicago. Meanwhile, protests in Brevard County and in Orlando getting ready to get underway. But right now, we want to know what political issue is most important to you right now. Let us know. Go to fox35orlando.com/vote. You can also scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now. It looks like most of you are saying economy, but is it the Iran war? Is it the First Amendment? Is it immigration? Is it gas prices? We want to know, so let us know. You can vote. You can also drop us a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on Facebook. We'll be keeping an eye out for some of those, because maybe it's another issue that's most important to you right now. We want to for you to let us know. Meanwhile, we're getting ready to check in on a couple of our other protests across our area right now. So keep it here on Fox Local YouTube and Facebook, and we'll be right back. It is noon on this Saturday. We appreciate you joining us for our Fox 35 News Plus special coverage of No Kings protests across the country. And here in Florida, we want to know right now what political issue is most important to you as we watch some of these protests. Most of you still saying the economy, some of you saying the Iran war, the First Amendment, gas prices, immigration. Is it something else entirely? Let us know. If so, if you're watching on YouTube, you can drop us a line in the chat there. You can also drop us a line on Facebook if you're watching there. Let's see. It looks like X-Files fan on YouTube saying gas and groceries, 401ks, wages dropping, prices increasing across the board, unaffordable rent. When does it end? That I would say is a vote for the economy there, as many of you are voting. So let us know if you're watching on our live stream here. And you can also vote in the poll by going to fox35orlando.com/vote. And you can also scan that QR code that you see on your screen right now. It is noon, and that means another several protests beginning around our area, including in Orlando. This is a live look on the ground at one of those events there. You can see a line of police officers there, and then across the street, a big crowd of protesters with signs and flags as well. We're going to check in on that protest in just a little bit. But we want to get you now to Brevard County, where Fox 35's Chris Lindsay is joining us live in Coco. And Chris, we've seen large crowds out there in Brevard County before for these protests. How are things out there this morning?
Was supposed to officially start at noon, which is right now, but we've seen people out here for over an hour gathering, expressing their frustrations with the Trump administration with this No Kings protest. So I've spoken with several people. They have a bunch of different areas that they're focused on, whether it be abortion rights, LGBTQ, immigration, etc. Some of these signs likening the current administration to a dictatorship, others pushing for the impeachment of the current president. And a lot of these people are out here just making sure that their voices are heard. This is one of over 100 demonstrations across the state of Florida. There are 2 in Brevard County, and as I mentioned, this one is just getting kicked off as people prepare for several hours of this demonstration.
And Chris, where exactly in Coco are y'all right now? This is a major intersection.
Yes, we're here on West King Street and US 1. Right now, they are gathering on all 4 corners of this intersection, as you can see. They have been here at least an hour as they prepare to continue to make sure that their voices are heard.
And can you give us an idea, read out some of the signs for us that you're seeing out there as well, Chris?
Absolutely. Some of them say abolish ICE. Others say impeach President Trump. Others say no kings in America, no kings, no fascists. Others say vote hate away. So there are a lot of different opinions that people are out here expressing. Even the people that I spoke to individually, there's not just one thing that most of these people are out here for. It's a laundry list for many of them, even though they have certain messages on their signs. A lot of these things are more complex than they're able to fit on these signs.
What about counter-protesters? Are we seeing any counter-protesters or any Trump supporters out there?
I haven't seen any counter-protesters yet. I just spoke with a police officer a moment ago who says that is one of the main issues that they're going to be focusing on today. They said in the past when they've had these sort of demonstrations, they've seen people come out and try to agitate others. But up to this point, it appears as though everyone is in support of this demonstration. Another thing that the police officers are on the lookout for is making sure that everyone is taking care of themselves, hydrating, and not being dehydrated out here. They said in years past they've had people pass out and had to be rushed to the hospital. So there are a lot of things to be on the lookout for, but so far so good here in Coco.
And Chris, we have seen at least one police officer there behind you. What is the law enforcement presence like there right now?
There is a small amount of law enforcement that is visible here from this intersection. As you mentioned, there's one right here in my area right now. But of course, here in Coco, they're doing whatever they can to make sure that everyone is safe. Even aside from the uniformed law enforcement, I imagine there are other safety measures in the crowds here to make sure that everyone's taken care of.
All right, and how many people would you say are out there right now? I know this is kind of just getting underway, but how many people would you say are out there that you see?
There's easily several hundred people out here right now. As I mentioned, the initial kickoff time was for noon, but when we got out here, there were already a couple hundred people. So I would guess somewhere near over 500, maybe possibly closer to 1,000 people. There are some on the other side of the street that we can't quite see yet, but there are several hundred people out here easily.
I know in some of these protests we've seen some people in costumes. Have you seen anyone in costumes out there?
I actually did just see a dinosaur cross the street. I think that they're a bit too far to capture them on the camera right now, but there are a few people in costumes, but it looks like a lot of people are out here in what you'd say normal attire. I do see a butterfly over here. So a few people standing out in their own way, trying to make sure that while they're communicating these messages that they stand out.
And we've also heard messages, from law enforcement who have made it clear they don't want protesters blocking streets, blocking traffic, anything like that. It looks like everyone is kind of staying off the roads, except when they have the walk signs. Is that what you're seeing?
Absolutely. So as you can see, there is some traffic control out here. We do have a woman right here making sure that when people cross the street that they're doing so safely. People have been following the traffic signals out here as well. There haven't been any close calls up to this point. It seems like everyone is following the rules, and police and other law enforcement in the area are hoping to keep it that way.
All right, Fox 35's Chris Lindsay joining us live in Coco right now. We appreciate you joining us. We will check back in with you in a little bit.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, I want to give you a live look. This is from our Sky Fox drone, giving you a live image right now of the protest in downtown Orlando. That's what we are seeing, and you can see that crowd. This event also was just scheduled to begin at noon. And we saw, just like in Coco, Chris was talking about, we did see a crowd begin to gather there before that protest actually began. So this one's scheduled to go from noon to 2. And then there's another event in Orlando coming up later in Baldwin Park. And so a big crowd expected at this one. Fox 35's Matt Trezza going to be there, and we'll check in with him in a little bit on the ground. We're also continuing to see protests in Atlanta and also in Washington, D.C., a number of protests across the country, then also crowds beginning to gather in Minneapolis for an event there, and then a rally that is going to be held there later. Okay, so we were talking about some of the costumes. This is a live look right now in Detroit area, Oak Park, Michigan, where we are seeing a live interview with an attendee in a costume. Let's go ahead and listen in here.
Eat more liver.
Eat more liver. Why was it important for you to come out to this protest? Are there any concerns that you have? Anything that the president is doing that you agree with?
Well, basically, I'm definitely against the war. We should not be in Iran. Our kids need to be at home doing stuff that young people do, enjoying their lives, not overseas in a war somewhere. So that's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chicken, for taking the time. We also have some penguins over here. We've got all the animals for you, Charlie. What brings you guys out here today?
Well, I really like penguins, and penguins usually like ice. but not this penguin. I have a son-in-law who's an immigrant. He's a naturalized citizen, and so I worry that about him and his family. So that's why I'm here.
What do you hope the Trump administration does differently? Clearly, you're not happy with the situation with ICE. What would you like to see change here?
Well, I think, it's like they need some immigration law reform. I mean, they had some before the election, which got turned down. It's like you're just dealing with the situation instead of trying to fix the problem. So they need to have some, immigration law reform, so then you don't have to have deportations.
Of course. And what about you?
And I don't think we get anywhere, we don't make a better country by targeting small individual groups. We need to embrace our diversity. We need to embrace trans, queer people. We need to embrace the immigrants, because that's what makes America great in the first place, is the fact that we have so many different cultures and viewpoints. That makes us strong. So I think I want us to embrace all Americans and all potential future Americans.
What is your message to the president? What would you like to say to him?
Stop. That's
Clean.
it.
Keep it clean.
Please stop. That's it.
And what about you? Your message to the president?
Well, I will say there is one thing I agree with the president about, and that is I think it's time to get rid of the penny. Pennies cost more to make than they cost.
That's all?
Well, so far, yes. So far,
just
yeah.
the pennies. Okay. Charlie, you got a question?
That coverage coming to us from WJBK in Detroit. They are in Oaklawn, Michigan. Here's another live look right now in Chicago as this protest, this rally continues there. Let's go ahead and listen in.
You can get a hold of your senators and your representatives by going to the Capitol switchboard. And the number is 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. The Capitol switchboard can connect you to your representative, to your senator. So please, it is important that we make those calls. They tally them. If we don't call and speak up and the other side does, they think we don't care. So please, it's important to do that. The other thing I'd like to encourage you to do, we have a person that's on Substack that many of you might know about. Her name is Jess Craven. She's a remarkable woman. She has been fighting the good fight. She's got a Substack site called Chop Wood, Carry Water. She gives you the script that you need to talk to your senators and your representatives. So I encourage you. And actually, by the way, turns out she's a former grad of NU. So, and she loves Evanston. So follow Jessica Craven. And I guess the only other thing I'm going to say is get a hold of other people, spread the word. We need to build a movement. If every one of you talks to 3 other people, imagine the size of the group we will have. So I encourage you to do that. Be active. Don't stop just after today and say, oh, I did my job. You didn't. It carries on. We've got to be involved. So go to indivisibleevanston.com, get our newsletter, get involved, get others involved, and thank you. Thank you all. You are such wonderful people. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to repeat that number one more time for the Capitol switchboard. 202-224-3121. Again, 202-224-3121. I saw somebody out there going, we need that number one more time. How are we doing? Everybody doing okay? Are you ready to march?
Getting ready to march there in Chicago. Meanwhile, we want to bring back up our poll question here to know what political issue is most important to you right now. Let us know. Go to fox35orlando.com/vote. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen. We're going to step aside for a brief break here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be right back with more coverage of No Kings protests across the country here in just a moment. All right, we are watching those poll numbers move, but economy still is the main issue that it appears y'all are finding most important to you right now in this moment. 50% of you saying economy, Iran war, First Amendment, immigration, gas prices. Is it something else? Let us know. We are seeing some comments come in as well on Facebook. And also coming in on our YouTube channel, seeing Troy on Facebook saying, how about protesting the Democrats not funding TSA? We did talk a little bit about that Department of Homeland Security bill this week and the funding bill and how it has fallen through. Something I talked about with Congressman Fine, Republican, who you're going to hear from coming up in just a little bit as well. He has been in Washington, D.C. and had some to say about the funding for that agency, which means that TSA has been working without paychecks because they're part of the Department of Homeland Security that has not been funded amid a partial government shutdown. So we are watching a number of protests across our area right now, and also more rallies in some major cities as well, including, let me give you a live look right now in New York City at one of the No Kings rallies there. Let's go ahead and listen in for a few minutes live from New York City.
It is not about stripping away our reproductive rights. It is not about cutting Medicare and Medicaid for millions. And it's not about withholding birthright citizenship from those who do not look like you. It's not about withholding the funds our schools need to educate all of our children and giving that money to start an illegal war thousands of miles away. I was brought to the United States when I was 4. I had a hand on my heart every single day in school, and I pledged allegiance to our country's flag. And I'm living proof that America is not defined by exclusion. Its strength comes from the diversity that we've always. I say, no thrones, no crowns, no kings, just we the people, and hopefully justice for all. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Padma.
Having some issues with that feed from New York. Apologize for that. So we're going to go ahead and give you another live look right now. This is in Coco at the intersection there where we checked in a little bit ago with Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, who has been out there. Can also give you a live look in Orlando, where about 20 minutes in to the protest there. And that is where Fox 35's Matt Trezza is on the ground. He's been all over the region all day today and joins us live now from Orlando. Matt, we appreciate you joining us. How are things looking there downtown right now?
Very, very crowded here at Orlando City Hall Plaza. Take a look around. You can see there are tens of thousands of people who are out here. City Hall Plaza is packed. This is a much larger turnout than the last time we were out here covering one of these similar events, but a similar scene as far as the people, the costumes, the flags, the posters, and the message that they are giving against the Trump administration and the president's policies. So I don't see any counter-protesters at this point. Across the street from where we're standing at City Hall Plaza, there are a number of Orlando police officers. That's been typical of the way this has all gone. There, I would say, are several dozen officers that are just hanging out and keeping the peace, as it has been before. Never in any of these events have I seen any significant police activity as far as arrests go or as far as any kind of disruption or disturbance. They have always been standing by the officers and keeping an eye on things, and that is what they continue to do at this time. I don't see anybody agitating or anything like that. This is a very joyful, positive crowd, I would say, the vibe out here. I see a lot of people, again, with posters that are satirical, that are making fun and poking fun at the president of the administration. I see, but I don't see anything that overtly seems just violent or angry in a way that is destructive at all. It all seems very constructive and positive, people supporting each other and just practicing their First Amendment right. And so that is how things are looking. It looks like they are trying to get some people their attention on a speaker's platform that is set up on the steps of City Hall. And it looks like we are going to be hearing some speeches. This only started about 20-ish minutes ago. So they really haven't begun kind of like any kind of proceedings or any kind of speeches being given or anything like that just yet. We're going to stick around and see what they have to say from the podium, but really it's more just at this point the people all gathering together, giving their message to the traffic, who's honking by, driving by, honking very often in response, and to fellowship with each other and their solidarity, which many of the signs show the word solidarity. Their solidarity here in being a united front against the policies that they disagree with of this administration. I want to see if there's any of them perhaps I could pull aside and talk with them about what their thoughts are, but that is always a little bit risky at a time like this because you never know what a person is necessarily going to say. But ma'am, yes. Can I stop you for a second? Sure. My name is Matt. I'm with the local Orlando Fox TV station, Fox 35.
Oh, yes.
So I just wanted to find out, why are you out here today? What message do you want to give? And what's bringing you all together here?
I think what's bringing me out, well, definitely what's bringing me out today is the fact that we need to be united against this regime, and this shows that it's working because the first protest had like 1 million, then it doubled the next year, and I'm hoping it's doubling this year. So we need to let our voices be known because they sure are being shut down anywhere else. So we want to let our views be known.
How many of these rallies in Orlando have you been to?
Well, I went 2 in Seminole County, and today I'm here.
Very good. What do you think about this turnout?
I think the turnout's great. I'm a little upset that they've really confined us to a small place. I mean, I get it, but still, we can't have as many as we would want. I'd love if we were able to march the street, but I doubt it.
What kind of message are you hoping to give you?
To resist this whole regime, because it's not American.
Are there any particular policies or actions that the administration's taken that you really have issue with?
Well, I hate that they've dehumanized anybody that isn't white. I hate that they choose money and billionaires over just the common people. I can't stand it that we pay so much more for food and gas and everything else. It's, how much more can we stand this? And it's only going to get worse with this war that nobody asked for.
And so when you see all the other people out here, though, and you see the American flags and you see the other banners, what message does it give you?
I think it's that, we are America, and we are able to do these things because we can, because we just can. And I love seeing this. We just need to get this message out that not everybody is on board, with what's going on now.
Excellent. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank
so
you
much
very
for speaking
much.
with us. Thanks. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks. And that's just the view of some of the activists who are out here today, and I think it's probably similar sentiments from the rest of the people who are out here voicing their opinions and their concerns. We're going to stay out here, talk with some of the other folks, and get some more perspective from anyone from all different perspectives and stripes. Even if we find some counter-protesters, we'll reach out to them as well and try and see what their take is as we continue kind of going through the crowd and seeing who's out here today. But for now, Garrett, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Matt, we appreciate it. And let us know about the speakers there, if they start speaking at the podium or at the microphone there, so we can listen in a little bit later. We appreciate you.
Sure thing.
And let me give you a live look right now in Grapevine, Texas, where Florida's own Senator Rick Scott, Republican from Florida, is speaking live right now at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, having their conference in Texas. So let's go ahead and listen in to him as he speaks live amid these protests going on in his home state and across the country, pushing back against the Republican Trump administration.
Up for what we all believe in and what Trump ran on. What we believe in is popular. What we believe in wins votes. We'll win in November with what we believe in, and actually what we believe in is absolutely right. It's time to stop allowing a few senators with Trump derangement syndrome from trying to stop every idea he has and pass his agenda. So who runs it? Who runs the Democrat Party? AOC and Mondami. The Democrat Party has been infiltrated by anti-Semitism and socialists who attack anyone. They attack all of us that have had any success in life. If you've had success in business, they hate you. Democrats hate capitalism. They hate businessmen. They hate businesswomen. I personally don't understand, how could anybody that believes in capitalism and the free market system ever vote for a Democrat? So think about it. Socialism is running rampant in some of our not great cities. But Chuck Schumer is okay because he's afraid of a primary by AOC or Mondami. They're turning New York into New Havana. They're going to destroy the city of New York. Look, it doesn't just stop in New York. Let's look at the new governor of Virginia. So, listen to this. Socialist Democrat legislatures in Virginia passed an anti-gun bill. But who did they create exemptions for? Themselves. So you can't exercise your Second Amendment rights, but they can. What's that sound like? Maybe communist countries. So government can be armed, but you can't. So think of communist China, Russia, Iran, Cuba, Venezuela before Trump got there. So this is what they're doing. They're destroying our freedom. Now, let's go to California. Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, they completely abandoned, there were wildfires out there in the Palisades. They completely abandoned the victims. So Ron Johnson and I are leading an investigation. We're going to find out exactly what happened with the Pacific Palisades fires. Now, I was governor of Florida. We had 4 hurricanes. We did after-action reports. I had nothing to do with them. The Department of Emergency Management did it. But Karen Bass, no, she hires a PR firm to help her alter the report to make sure she covered up the truth. Because guess what she did when the fire started? She went to Africa. She went to Africa, and there was no preparation to help these people with the Palisades fire. Killed 12 seniors, and you can't believe it. It's just empty. All these burnt-out homes, and nothing's getting built. Families can't afford to build, and people are homeless all over the place. So that's what's happening in socialist-run cities and states across our country. And Gavin Newsom, what's he doing? He's gallivanting all over the world. Goes to the World Economic Forum, does all this. And what's he's watching? Just like Hulk was doing in New York, they're watching they're productive citizens to get the hell out. They're coming to Texas, and they're coming to Florida. Because he just raises and raises and raises the taxes to pay for stupid ideas like the high-speed rail project to nowhere. So I got elected in December of 2010. In my first month in office, Obama had given the states some money for high-speed rail. So one of the first things I did is I killed it. So it was crazy. So I did that, and I got Republicans and Democrats, they all attacked me. But guess who took the money? California. So they took billions of dollars. Do they have a rail yet? Do they have trains yet? No. They have nothing but IOUs. We have to have meetings like this, and we have to get together because we cannot let the socialists run this great country. But guess what? Democrats know they can't win on their stupid, crazy, insane ideas. They can only win one way, and what's that? Cheating. That's why they're going to do everything they can to block the Save America Act. And they're going to do everything they can to make sure illegals get to continue to vote in our elections. We have to get the Save America Act passed. Now, probably like you, I grew up in a great country. I grew up in a country, the kid that grew up in public housing. I started working at the age of 7, so helped my family. I got married when we were 19 years old. I joined the Navy at 18, used the GI Bill, finished school. And only because of this great country, I got to open up businesses. Guess what my first business was? A donut shop. So I don't eat quite as many donuts now. But only in this country could a kid from nothing start businesses. Because of that, because of this country, I got to build the largest hospital company in the world, to build a bunch of manufacturing companies. Eventually, I ran for office as a complete outsider. All the polls said I would lose. I was able to become governor and senator because this is a great country. So what Trump's doing is similar to what we were able to do in Florida. I was governor from 2011 to 2019. We cut taxes over 100 times. We got rid of about 20% of the regulations in the state. And guess what happened to our economy? It skyrocketed. I tried to get everybody to not come to Texas to come to Florida. I competed with Rick Perry every day. But Texas generally won. As the only time 1.7 million jobs. And we became, with Texas, the 2 states that everybody wanted to move to because we had great economies. But guess what? Great economies don't last forever. You have to keep cutting taxes. You have to keep cutting regulation. You got to keep the cost of living low. You've got to encourage businesses all the time to come to your states. You've got to support the small businesses because that's the lifeblood of this country because it creates opportunities for all of our families. It takes work. Don't waste people's money. Money you don't have. You probably have to piss off a bunch of special interests and big companies that want to take all your money. They want government handouts. But this is what Trump's trying to do. He wants to build the greatest economy ever again. He knows that you have to constantly fight for the American dream. Because guess who comes along? People like Joe Biden and Barack Obama, who hate small business. They hate capitalism. They think government is the solution, not the problem. We know government is the problem, not the solution. Unfortunately, under Biden years, we lost jobs. Right now in Florida, we've been losing jobs. The cost of living has gone up, the cost of housing's up, the cost of insurance is up, so it's very unaffordable. But guess who's working their butt off to fix it? President Trump. He's working every darn day. Now, if you get elected, you have to be vigilant. You have to do what Trump does. That guy is an Energizer bunny, works every darn day. And you have to fight every day because great nations don't automatically last forever. It's incumbent on all of us in Congress to help the president deliver. he's got to deliver now, because these jobs are fleeting. Think about it. He only has, 2 years and 8 or 9 months to go? We got to balance the budget. We got to cut taxes. We got to limit all the fraud. That's almost every federal government program is full of fraud. And we got to get rid of all the crazy size of the federal government, all these regulations that take away our freedom. We need more freedom. We need less government. It's all doable. Trump's doing it. We did it when I was governor of Florida. We've got to throw out the filibuster so we can get all of Trump's agenda done this year. So let me just close with this. If you see a problem, who caused it? Government. Government probably caused most of your problems. Every place that Washington has gotten involved, it hurts your life, and it takes away your freedom. It hurts you. We have to fight for freedom every day. We don't need new laws that take away our freedom. Big government has made the cost of living explode. And think about it. Trump is busting his butt to get the costs down, but it's awfully hard when you have the inflation under the Biden years. So on top of what the Biden administration did, Obama, raising the cost of living, they just take away freedom after freedom after freedom. And they take away your chance and all of our family's chance to live the American dream. So, Trump's fighting on inflation, but who's causing it? Government spending. Trump doesn't get to pass the budget, Congress does. The healthcare system is way too expensive. It's caused by government. Housing, childcare, almost everything is more expensive because of government. So how do we solve these problems? Stop asking government to fix it and get government the hell out of our lives. Now, we have to win in November. We have to win in November. We have great candidates who are up in November who believe in less government and more freedom. And they're running on Trump's agenda. We've got to make sure we bust our butt. So I love coming to CPAC because what you want to be is around people like you that care about this country and will put the effort in. I tell everybody, you have to work harder and harder and harder, but it is all doable. So let me finish by, I'm very appreciative to be invited here. I'm very appreciative of your support. God bless every one of you. God bless our country. And God bless our military that is fighting for freedom. Bye-bye.
Rick Scott speaking on stage at CPAC in Grapevine, Texas, as many people across Florida and across the country protest right now. Give you a live look in Orlando where we're hearing some speakers at the microphone there at City Hall Plaza. Let's see if we can hear what they're having to say at this protest. Again, large crowd in downtown Orlando right now. Looks like we may have just lost our audio feed from that source. So we will work on getting that back and listen back in, try to listen in to what is happening right now in Orlando as they go through some of the speakers. So we will keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, we will give you a live look in Philadelphia. This is an aerial view showing huge crowds that have been moving through the streets in Philadelphia. Okay, it sounds like we have our audio back now from Orlando, so we'll get you there in just a second. But again, this is a live look in Philadelphia. You're seeing big crowds moving through the streets. Are also expecting big crowds in Minneapolis or St. Paul, and we'll get you there a little bit later as well. But let's go ahead and take you right now back to Orlando, where we are hearing from some speakers at a microphone there outside City Hall at this No Kings protest, seeing a lot of signs and a big crowd gathered there. Let's listen in.
of years. Hear me out. This is not about division, not about who belongs and who doesn't. Our movement is rooted in unity, and this is about truth. Because until we acknowledge that the people being hunted, detained, beaten, killed by ICE are indigenous to this land, they will continue to be.
So hearing from some of the speakers there in Orlando at an event there. Also give you a live look right now in Coco, where we are seeing a big crowd on every corner of that intersection. We're going to check in with Fox 35's Chris Lindsay here in just a couple of minutes. So we will have more from Brevard County coming up shortly. And let me show you the stage as well in St. Paul at this, what organizers are calling the flagship No Kings event that is going to be going on later. There's a march that's going throughout the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and that is going to end. Our understanding is at this rally in St. Paul, where we're going to hear from Bruce Springsteen, going to be performing, Bernie Sanders going to be speaking, so a big event there. And that rally, I believe, is scheduled to begin at 3 o'clock. So that'll be covered once we hand things off to Live Now coming up in just a little bit. But we are continuing to live stream these No Kings protests across the country. Seeing a number of events, thousands of locations really across the country that are taking part in this today. And I'm trying to see if this feed's going to remain stable in New York City. We'll listen back in for a minute here as this event continues, hearing from a number of speakers in New York.
But I'm used to us doing the press conferences out with the people so we can get pumped up to put in those miles that we're going to put in today. Let me hear you say, we organize. We organize. Not good. Again, we organize. We organize. I am L. Joy Williams, and I have the great pleasure of being the president of the NAACP New York State Conference, where we advocate, agitate, and litigate on behalf of Black New Yorkers. And this afternoon, as we all gather, I want to do today. I greet you in the name of Mother Sister Ida B. Wells against lynching. I greet you in the name organized.
All right, well, we are still having some trouble with that feed from New York. I apologize for that. We've tried listening in a couple of times now. I thought it was a little bit more stable of a feed this time, but still having some of those issues. But I believe we're going to go ahead and try to check in with Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, who is joining us live now from Brevard County, where a crowd of folks has gathered along the intersections in Coco. And we checked in with Chris a little bit ago when things were kind of just getting underway. And he joins us live again now. Chris, it looks like things are a little more crowded than they were the last time we checked in with you.
Yeah, there's been a lot more people that showed up since the last time we checked in. Around that time, there were about 500 or so. Several hundred more people have checked in here in Coco on US 1 as people express their concerns with the Trump administration, donning various signs about abortion, about immigration rights, about LGBTQ, etc. I'm actually here with one of the organizers of today's protest. His name is Michael. And Michael, what is the purpose of a demonstration such as this?
The purpose of this demonstration is to fight back against the fascist agenda of Donald Trump and his henchmen, and to make one very simple message very clear to him and all his MAGA allies. This country does not belong to him. This country belongs to its people. This country belongs to all of us. We will not surrender our democracy to this fascist wannabe dictator. It's that simple.
We see a lot of different topics that people are focused on today. What are some of the things, as you talk to some of your peers, that stand out the most?
Well, since our last No Kings Day event in October, there have been any number of outrages from this regime that are worthy of protest and resistance. Obviously, the murderous thugs of ICE and Border Patrol is one major issue. Another one is Donald Trump's idiotic war in the Middle East. But I'd say that the most critical one from a strategic standpoint is the 2026 midterm elections. This is something which I feel is largely overlooked and underestimated, even among the news media and even among the progressive resistance. This is an operation that Trump and his cronies have been planning for months. It is multifaceted, it is sophisticated, it is strategic. These people seriously intend to steal our election in November, and we must rally the people to oppose him. We cannot allow our election to get taken away. If this happens, and he manages to keep his MAGA allies in power and in control in Congress, it means that at least another 2 years of this evil clown show, and who knows how much damage he could do in that time.
What does it mean to you to see this amount of people out here sharing some of those frustrations with you?
Well, it's very encouraging. Brevard County has a reputation for being a very red county, and it is. There's a lot of Republicans here. But what has been happening to our country from this corrupt administration transcends politics as usual. Every citizen of this country and every legal resident has a stake in the outcome of this fight. Everybody has a right to live in a democratic society and not having it taken away from them. So we are reaching out not just to our fellow progressives, but to people of all persuasions and all backgrounds. That includes mainstream liberals, conservative Democrats, independent swing voters, and Republicans, including disillusioned MAGA Republicans. We wish to say to them that everybody is welcome to join with us because we are all in this together.
Absolutely. Today's event kicked off at 12, and we saw people lining up here long before that. It's supposed to end around 3 o'clock, but I imagine that people will be here even beyond that. Garrett?
All right, Fox 35's Chris Lindsay joining us live from Brevard County. We appreciate you checking in with us, Chris, and showing us that crowd out there in the northern part of Brevard. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thank you.
So that was the scene there. Meanwhile, I want to pull this up full screen here so you can just see. We had it for you, showing you the aerial images from Philadelphia and the huge crowds that have been marching through the streets there, kind of striking to see once it was zoomed out. You could see them walking around that roundabout there and just the sheer volume of people that are out there right now. That is just one location that is still having an event that's going on at this hour. Many of them, some of them are marches that then end with rallies. And let me give you a live look right now in Orlando. We'll check back in on this one here. I'm not sure if someone is speaking right now. It does look like someone may be at the microphone. Let's go ahead and listen in here and see if we can hear anything going on live in Orlando right now.
And I gotta tell you that the danger among us isn't the truth. Immigrants, we are being weaponized in our communities on behalf of hate. We are being weaponized to steal due process and erode it. Immigrants are being weaponized to take away voting rights in our democracy. But that's not the reality of who immigrants are. From the farm work to the emergency room, to the surgeons, to the dentists, to the servers, to the people in the restaurants, all of us are immigrants. And we stand, no kings, no ice. We're standing for our rights. It is important to be here today because Florida is #1 in the country for ICE detentions and illegal deportations. 40,000 of our neighbors this. But I am hot because we have the spirit of power within each other to make things different. And at the county level, I am hot because we have champions in our communities. We have Congressman Frost. We have Carlos Guillermo Smith. Lavon Bracey. Anna Diaz-Gamani. Rita Harris. Joanna Lopez. Our heroes who have come with us to the immigration offices, to the courthouse, to the town halls, and they're fighting for us. And most of all, we have a fight at the jail because we are serving as a detention center for the state and the nation. Are we okay with that? No. Are we okay with that? No. So we have a champion, somebody that led and made sure that there was no detention center in Lake Nona. Thanks to Nicole Wilson's leadership, we have a resolution. A resolution. They say it's not binding, but a resolution is the only one that's been passed in this state. And a resolution is a vote no ICE, but it's also the protest like we're doing here today. Does it matter for us to be here? And then we're finally pushing the gay ICE out of our jail, out of our streets. And we have no greater champion than Kelly Martinez-Sumrod. 100% of the time, relentless, fighting for our communities. Pushing the mayor, pushing the commission to say no ICE in our streets, no ICE in our jails. But she can't do it alone. And I think we all agree, we protesting does not solve it alone. Are you with me? So we got to take action. And we're taking action today for a young man who in the last 24 hours has gone missing. JC is what we're calling him. 24 years old. In our jail, he had his 72-hour violations 5 times. 5 times in our jail. Are you hot? Are you hot? Are you hot? Let's take some action. Because now he's missing. After we worked to get him out, he's now missing. And we got to fight back. Are you with me? Very simple action. 2 things. Number 1, how many of you still have Facebook? Let me hear you, Facebook. You're going to go to Immigrants Are Welcome here right now because we're going to take a collective action. Immigrants are welcome here. Please go to the Immigrants Are Welcome page right now. I'm going to wait for y'all. And while you do that, we're going to remind everyone, no hate, no fear. No hate, no fear. No hate, no fear. We sent a letter yesterday to Mayor Demings and the entire board because shame on them that we're still holding people in our jail. Shame on them for not standing up to DeSantis and Trump. Shame on them for allowing our rights to be violated all of the time. So when you get to our page, are you in our page? The very first posting, we're going to take collective action, and we're going to do the easiest thing. We're going to use our collective power, and we're going to share that letter that says, we want you out of ICE, we want our detainees out of the prisons, we want funding for our schools, and we want no more 72 hours. Are you with me? Let's make that share. Tell me when you've done it. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. Are you in? Repeat after me because we're practicing it for the video. You ready? Mayor Demings! No kings, no ice! No kings, no ice! Stand up for our rights! Stand up for our rights! Mayor Demings! No kings, no ice! No kings, no ice! Stand up for our rights! Stand up for our rights! You ready? Yeah. Let's do it! Mayor Demings! No kings, no ice! No kings, no ice! Stand up for our rights! Stand up for our rights! Mayor Demings! No kings, no ice! No kings, no ice! Stand up for our rights! Stand up for our rights! You got it! Thank you so much, everyone! Let's do it! Woo! Give it up for Erica and the immigrant community! How many of you are feeling motivated to actually organize instead of mobilize and join an organization and see what's up? Woo! Yeah! I don't know if you guys have heard yet, but we've got the Progress Hub every single week. And we also have a candidate kickstart meeting at Bookburn every single week on Tuesdays, 6 to 8. And Progress Hub, 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays, where we have classes and potlucks. And we collect mutual aid for the directly impacted peoples of our community. And now you also heard that the cops here are ICE. That is why so many people are being taken away, and we can't do anything about it. Not like Minnesota's doing. So we stop the cops from being able to kidnap people. We can stop them in our communities and organize like Minneapolis. So we need to end the 287G agreement. And up next to talk about Orlando against police crimes, because they are committing crimes in our community, welcome Jaden to the stage.
Good afternoon. My name is Chukwudemaga Agorjafor. I'm a revolutionary African internationalist, a member of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, Black Men Build, and Orlando Against Police Crimes. I will be frank. We need true democratic control of the police here in Orlando. For far too long, we have had to watch as people like Tyrone Bartley, Luis Lopez, Caleb Williams, and Gerald Neal, among many others, get murdered in broad daylight, while we demand undelivered justice and accountability from those who are allegedly supposed to serve us. Unfortunately, it has grown more apparent that rather than serving us, our elected sheriff and appointed...
So we're hearing a speaker now raising some questions and some concerns about law enforcement in Orlando. And so let's go ahead and kind of take another look at some of the other protests as well that are going on across the country right now. We've seen the large crowds that are in Philadelphia. Let me show you that aerial image again here right now. They've been marching through. Actually, I'm being told this is St. Paul, Minnesota now. Yes, so this you can see the stage there that we had an angle of in a different shot. So this is St. Paul, the rally there ahead of a large event that's going to be happening a little bit later today, where Bernie Sanders, Bruce Springsteen, some other speakers as well at that event. So that's going to be starting around 3 o'clock, I believe. So still a couple of hours away from that. We're continuing to monitor the news conference, the speakers that we're seeing in New York as well. And maybe we'll try to listen in again to that here. To give you a little bit of a different look at what's going on there. So this is, again, live in New York City right now as these No Kings protests across the country continue.
It's not a game. Take it from me, it is not a game. And as far as ICE goes, migrants are the refreshment of our nation. The people that I know who are immigrants, and let's face it, we all at some point, if we were not dragged here in chains, we were immigrants. The people I know who are immigrants, and I know a lot of them because I live in Brooklyn, are hardworking, tremendously ambitious, particularly for their families, which are often American families, and they don't deserve the treatment they're getting. We didn't need ICE before 2003, and it can be considered that we don't need them now. So I humbly suggest we abolish ICE. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for joining us. Next up, join me in welcoming Maurice Mitchell, the National Director of the Working Families Party.
When I say no kings, you say no kings. 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 All right, show of hands. Who here has to work for a living? Who here, press also, y'all workers too. Who here has to work for a living? Okay. Well, my name is Maurice Mitchell, and we at the Working Families Party, we represent all of you, right? There are about roughly 3,500 billionaires, right? That basically is roughly the amount of people in a medium-sized high school. There's more students in Brooklyn Tech than there are billionaires on the planet. And in the United States, we have roughly 1,000 billionaires. And then there's everybody else. We are building a solidarity movement of everybody else against the oligarchs and wannabe kings. So good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. In just a few hours, you'll be able to see what's gathering today across the country. And I want to talk to you about what it means and where it's going. Because what's happening right now is bigger than any single rally or any single day. The billionaire class in this country practices solidarity every single day. The oligarchs who profit off of working people and the AI CEOs who want to replace us, they don't like each other. They don't agree on very much. But they understand that as a class, there is far more of them, there's far more for them to accomplish together than apart. That is why they move as one. What we're seeing today is working people now doing the same thing. Every race, every gender, every religion, every immigration status. In fact, I come here as the proud son of an immigrant from Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada. Let's go. Right? Yes. The proud grandson of an immigrant that came here as a domestic worker and built this country. The people who built this country and keep it running, who are they? They are the people who pour the foundations, who staff the hospitals, who stock the shelves, who teach the children, who drive the buses, who keep the damn lights on in this city. That's right. And they are showing out and showing up together today. Not because they agree on everything, not because we're all the same, we are different, but because we understand that this country does not move without us as working people. And that gives us the power when we come together and use our power. That is the story of this moment, and it's not just an opposition movement. We're going from opposition movement to solidarity movement. I'm going to say that again. We're going from opposition to solidarity. And here, you clap for that. I'm getting that L-Joy energy. This is a press conference, but we're going to make it into a rally. And here is what that solidarity is building towards. America is rich enough today, to guarantee everything working families need to live a good life. A home you could afford, health care when you need it, child care when and where you need it, good jobs with the right to join a union, time off to be with the people that you love. The money is there, it's just in the wrong hands. So here's our message to the billionaires and the bought-off politicians defending a rigged system. Working families are not asking anymore. We are demanding. And we are not just demanding, we are coming to collect. How does that happen? We tax the rich. We tax the rich. We get big money out of politics. And we continue building the type of grassroots working class movement you are witnessing today. I know that's possible because of the progress we've made right here in New York, thanks to people like Attorney General Tish James. And we got a working families mayor as well, thanks to our mayor, Zohar Mamdani, to public advocate Jumaane Williams, to Congress people who are fighting for the people, like from AOC to Letitia Simon in California, to Congresswoman Lee in Pennsylvania. We are building a working class movement with people who stand 10 toes for working people, for all of us. And there's more we can do. Every day, New Yorkers are organizing to get ICE out of our communities, to tax the rich, to invest in universal child care, to build affordable housing, and win health insurance for all. That is what working class power produces, and if we can do it here, we can do it everywhere. Amen. We in church. Amen. Good Reverend, we in church. All right. So I'll say this plainly to anyone watching, what is building here is not a moment, it is a movement. The people at this rally are going to stay connected, going to stay organized, Eldroy, and keep on showing out and showing up, because they know that if they do, the future they deserve is not an aspiration, it is an inevitability. Thank you.
Amen. Let's keep it going for Maurice. Thank you. And next up, join me in welcoming Maria Duarte, the campaign organizer for Invest in Our New York.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Maria Duarte, and I am here today representing the Invest in Our New York campaign. We are a coalition of over 100 organizations across New York State fighting to tax the rich so that our communities have the resources that they need to thrive. But I am also here today as someone who has lived most of their life in this country as an undocumented immigrant. Even though I am currently a DACA recipient, those protections are always hanging by a thread, and I have never felt safe in this country. I know all too well the sinking feeling of an ordinary day turning into something life-altering. Growing up, my biggest fear was coming home to an empty house because my parents had been taken. No child deserves to live like that. Children and students should be focusing on math and practice after school, not afraid that a police encounter will end them and their families in the deportation pipeline. Every day, I have watched the people I love work themselves to the bone, harvesting the crops that feed this country, caring for homes, raising children, and building our cities from the ground up. We deserve the right to stay here, not because of how hard we work, how much we pay in taxes, or how much we are willing to sacrifice. We deserve dignity because we are human, and our humanity alone should be enough. This experience has helped me see the interconnection and the connectedness between working class people, and how at the root of it all is capitalism. Every day, people are struggling to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads, regardless of how hard they work. People are working multiple jobs just to make ends meet. In this country, we are sold the story that if we work hard enough, we too can become ultra wealthy, that we can pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, right? But when that promise proves to be false time and time again, the blame is shifted onto immigrants, who then are accused of stealing jobs and are increasingly criminalized. At the same time, the ultra-rich are profiting from that same immigrant detention, all while the ICE funding skyrockets, and people are left without essential services like SNAP, Medicaid, and the Essential Plan. The federal government is literally stealing healthcare from families and food off our table to give billionaires tax breaks and fund this mass deportation regime. This is capitalism at work. This is white supremacy at work. This is what the system is designed to do. But people are waking up. New Yorkers overwhelmingly support taxing the ultra-rich. Meanwhile, our leaders are sitting by while the cost of living skyrockets and the ultra-wealthy continue to live it up on the taxpayer dime. But let me be very, very clear with you all today. Our governor, Kathy Hochul, has the power to stand up to these federal attacks. She has the power to do that by taxing the wealth.
This event in New York continuing. You see that speaker's hat that says tax the rich. She's talking about some things that she wants to see the New York governor address. Meanwhile, I want to get you back to Orlando, where we are continuing to hear from some speakers at the event downtown at City Hall there. Big crowd out there for that No Kings protest. And again, I just do want to warn you as well, we might hear or see some language in some of these signs, so viewer discretion is advised here. If you're joining us live on Fox Local, YouTube, and Facebook right now, you can vote in our poll as well that we've got up right now. Let us know what you think about the protests and whether they are an effective way to influence change. You can also drop us a comment right now if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. Let's go ahead and listen back in at the event in downtown Orlando.
That cooperation. Now make some noise if you think Donald Trump is a dirty fascist. That wasn't loud enough. Make some noise if you think Donald Trump is a dirty fascist. That's right. That's right. And a pedophile, of course. Now, here's the important thing. Fascism has never been beat at the ballot box alone. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't vote. You should vote. You need to vote, especially for candidates that share our values, that share our principles, that stand with the working class. But voting alone is not enough. How many of you today filled out a candidate petition? Raise your hand if you filled out a candidate petition. I see a few of you. I need more of you to fill out these candidate petitions to get our candidates involved. That's how you can take action. You're on the correct path. Now it's time to continue walking down that path. So if you leave here without plugging into an organization or committing to an action, you're playing into the hands of the oligarchs. And I believe that y'all don't want to do that. Y'all don't want to play into the hands of the oligarchs. So I need y'all today to commit to action. Commit to taking responsibility and solidarity with our immigrant community, with our community that is oppressed right now. And as our faith leaders will remind us, faith without action is dead. And my friends, we are far, far from dead. So I want to hear y'all. I want to hear your commitments. Make some noise if you're going to make sure that you plug in with an organization today. Make some noise. Make some noise if you're committed to taking action. I'll say, my friends, is the powers that be, the oligarchs, the billionaires, our politicians, even the good ones. They will only listen to us when we make them. And on May 1st of this year, we will make them listen to our demands. No ICE, no wars, no billionaires. Thank you.
Yes, and they're so right. We need to hit the economic pillar of power. All the pillars of power that hold up fascism. We need to attack those, and we need to put cracks in those pillars of power. And I know it might seem hard and impossible, but this is what community looks like. Whatever you lack, somebody else will have. And I just want to elaborate on that because we all have something to contribute. And if we shut our city down, we will make sure to feed each other. I mean, have you guys seen in Minneapolis or even in Chile and other countries where they have had uprisings? The old ladies that have abuelitas are in their kitchens cooking for the people on the front lines and taking care of each other. So whatever you lack, other people have, and we will be okay. But with that, I also want to make an announcement that we need to stick together as community and stick together and be disciplined while the agitators are going through the crowd trying to rile you up and make you angry. So we need to keep discipline. Do not engage with the agitators, just as a reminder. Thank you so much for being disciplined and staying committed to having a non-violent movement where we will be throwing sand in the gears of fascism. And now for our next speaker, Pastor Sarah Robinson from the Audubon Park Covenant Church. Give it up for Pastor Sarah! Also, the leader of our singing resistance. All right, hello. Good afternoon. All right, I've got some singing resistance folks out there.
That event in Orlando continuing right now. I want to give a shout out to a couple of folks who are commenting on Facebook right now. Charlie Cook saying, stop MAGA, Trump in their corruptions. BDog16 saying, yes, a democratically elected president is a king, pushing back at the entire notion of the No Kings protests there. Morgan Austin saying the only king is Jesus. So let us know what you think. Drop us a comment if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. And you can also vote in our poll right now if you believe protests are an effective way to influence change. Looks like 65% of you saying yes, 9% saying sometimes, 25% of you saying no. So let us know what you think by going to fox35orlando.com/vote. You can also scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now. So we are seeing a number of these events going on right now across Florida and across the country. Let me give you a live look again at the event in Coco. We'll check back in with Fox 35's Chris Lindsay coming up in just a little bit. You can see the crowds standing on the intersections, or standing at the intersections, at the corners of that intersection, that's what I'm trying to say, as in northern Brevard County. Now, I did have the chance to speak with Congressman Randy Fine. He's a Republican from Florida's 6th District, and spoke with him today about these No Kings protests, about the status of the Department of Homeland Security funding bill. We spoke just before these protests got underway. He was getting ready to head back home from Washington, D.C. Here's what Congressman Fine had to say about these No Kings protests across his district and across the country. Congressman Fine, we are seeing another day of these No Kings protests in Florida, across the country. Your reaction to what we're seeing today?
Well, look, I don't understand what these people are upset about. The only kings I see out there are federal judges that are impeding President Trump's lawful actions, Democrats that are standing up to protect Somali pirates, illegal immigrants, and Muslim terrorists. I mean, President Trump is doing what's necessary to save the country, and everything he's doing is legal, and I don't really understand what these people are all upset about.
I think we have seen a little bit of an increased intensity since the war in Iran. How do you think things are going with that conflict, and that already has seemed to kind of go on a little bit longer than the president first made it seem like it would last?
Well, I reject a lot of what you just said there. It's not going on longer than he said. I think he said 4 to 6 weeks. We're right in the middle of that. Second, it's not a war. It has specifically, clearly delineated objectives, which we're doing a great job with. Getting rid of the Navy, the Air Force, the missile shield, destroying their ability to create a nuclear weapon. It's a defined military mission, and I think we're doing well at it. But what I would say about these protesters is when they're saying no kings, the people who run Iran are religious kings. So I think their protest should be called More Kings or Love Kings, not No Kings. And look at how they treat women and girls and regular civilians in Iran. So when it comes to picking the people you're going to defend, boy, they really have some issues with doing that.
This is now the third time, I think, just kind of in the past year since President Trump took office, that we have seen these protests across the country. I know one of the big events for this kind of nationwide organization is in Minneapolis, which they say they have kind of borne the brunt of some of President Trump's actions and immigration enforcement, border patrol. We know the shootings that happened in Minneapolis. How do would you respond to folks in Minneapolis that that say the president has been too heavy-handed with some of these issues.
I would say they're full of it. For 4 years, Joe Biden let in 20 million illegal immigrants. People streamed across the border uncontrolled. 11,000 murderers. And these illegal immigrants have killed 1,400 people. Yet the Democrats and these protesters don't care about that. They have fetishized illegal immigrants, which is what President Trump has been going after. And in Minneapolis, they were protecting them. They were actually catching these criminals and then releasing them from jail so that they couldn't be deported. The protesters have no one to blame but themselves. We are a country of laws, and we are going to round up and deport every single illegal immigrant without exception. They can either help or get out of the way, but it's not going to stop.
Congressman Fine, I got to ask you about this situation right now with the funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Where do things stand right now?
So Democrats have kept that department closed now for over 40 days. It's their third shutdown, and these are tied together. Democrats only care about Somali pirates, Muslim terrorists, and illegal immigrants. They are desperate to keep these tens of millions of foreign invaders in our country who are robbing us blind and killing our citizens. So last night, for the fourth time, House Republicans passed a bill to fully fund the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats are demanding that we not fund it, including the departments that focus on child sex trafficking. Under Joe Biden, 300,000 children went missing across the border, probably because Democrats want them human trafficked, and they're trying to stop the funding of finding those kids and reunifying them with their families. That bill's gone back to the Senate. We hope they'll pass it, and the Department of Homeland Security will fully reopen.
But the Republicans in the Senate had backed a bill previously that would fund most of the department without, ICE and Border Patrol. Why wouldn't the House get behind that bill that the Senate had already passed before some of them headed out of town?
Well, that bill was passed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Only 5 of the senators were actually on the floor when it passed. And we simply reject a bill that continues to shut down forever. The Senate bill continued the government shutdown ad infinitum, potentially forever, making 10,000 government employees who work for Customs and Border Patrol and ICE unpaid forever, including those who investigate child sex trafficking. Now, look, Democrats like to talk a good show that they care about the Epstein files, yet for whatever reason, they don't want to go after those they don't want to fund those who are investigating child sex trafficking. We simply aren't going to accept a perpetual government shutdown. We funded the entire Department of Homeland Security. Didn't cherry pick. We're focused on American security. Apparently, Democrats in the Senate are focused on protecting child sex traffickers.
But we're seeing reporting, including from Fox News reporters on the Hill, that the House plan is likely dead on arrival in the Senate. So where do we go from here?
Well, that's going to be up to the Senate. I mean, again, if the Senate wants to continue to protect child sex traffickers, they'll have to explain that to their constituents. But we were not going to vote for the Let's Protect Victims of Epstein plan that came out of the Senate. We believe child sex trafficking is bad. Maybe the Senate doesn't agree. You fund the whole Department of Homeland Security. We have voted to do that 4 times. And we aren't going to refuse to do our job because the Senate is lazy and doesn't want to go to work because they're off going on vacation. I have been in Washington for 2 weeks. I'm heading home, but I will come back. We will work as hard as we have to get the government reopened. Democrats may not care about America, but Republicans do.
Congressman Randy Fine speaking with me earlier today. Let's go ahead and get you back to Orlando and this event that's going on right now. Let's listen in here to City Hall Plaza. And
join us if you can. Hold on. Hold on. My dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on. Sing it to each other. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the the dawn. Good job. Thank you all. Thank you all. Congratulations. You are now part of the Orlando Singing Resistance. So you should definitely go on Instagram and follow us at Orlando Singing Resistance. Or you can send us an email and get on the email list. Please join us. We have rehearsals. We go and do actions like this. And we're going to change the world, right? Thanks, all.
Hello, everybody. I am super unprofessional right now. I'm holding up Perrin. And I do not have my book to know who goes next. But give it up for the Singing Resistance. Oh, all right, and now give it up for Felipe Souza Lazabale. Woo!
Hello, everyone! Hello, Central Florida! When our human rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! What do we do? What do we do? My name is Felipe Souza Lazabala, and I am an immigrant and an LGBTQ plus leader here in Central Florida. I'm a working class person fighting for a collective right to real democracy. Let's start with the truth about where we are as a country. The deal is simple. Our opponents are trying to take away our rights. Our right to vote, our right to protest, and even our right to exist. And they're doing it while hoping we'll stay tired, divided, and silent. But I'm here today because I refuse to be silent. Do you refuse to be silent? I'm a working class immigrant from Brazil. I spent 15 years of my life as an undocumented immigrant. I was raised by a single mother with a second-grade education who worked every day to give me a chance of a better future. So for me, this is not about politics. This is about people. This is about survival. This is about our dignity. And I know I'm not alone. So many of us are tired of the same old big book. Tired of politicians who make promises but never delivered. Tired of watching our communities struggle while those in power protect corporations and billionaires. Boom! We just don't want change. We need it so desperately. We need leaders who will actually fight for us. Leaders who understand what it means to choose between rent and groceries, between seeing a doctor and paying a bill. Leaders who know what it feels like to be pushed out, left behind, and told to our turn. No more wait. No more wait. No more wait. No more wait. Because let me tell you something. We've been waiting for far too long. Here in Florida, we know exactly what's happening. We've been seeing our leaders too afraid to take bold actions, too afraid of political threats, too willing to be comfortable while our communities are suffering. And I want to be clear, being complicit in injustice is not leadership. We've seen what courage looks like. When leaders stand up, like Orange County Commissioner Kelly Martinez Samred during a debate against ICE in our jails. This is what she said. This is not the hill I'm dying on. This is the hill I'm standing on. And that's right. That's right.
Felipe Souza Lazabale, you may recognize him from the Hope Community Center in Orlando. He's also running for a state house, as I understand it. He is talking about Orange County and the push to fight the detention centers, the ICE detention centers, and that Orange County has been in some ways fighting because they've not been getting the reimbursements that they believe they are due for to really break even. And so they've been struggling with high numbers, not enough reimbursement. And so some commissioners have really begun taking a stand against the agreements with ICE for housing the detainees in the Orange County Jail. We want to go ahead and check back in now on the protest in North Brevard, where Fox 35's Chris Lindsay has been throughout the day and joins us live now one more time here on our live streaming news coverage. And Chris, good afternoon. We still see quite a few people behind you and as cars drive by on US 1.
Good afternoon. Just a few moments ago, one of the organizers gave a guesstimation of about 3,000 people out here in Coco for this No Kings demonstration. People are out here with their signs, their costumes, other forms of demonstration, letting people know their frustrations when it comes to the Trump administration. People have expressed concerns about the war in Iran, abortion rights, immigration rights, etc. Some of the signs saying to abolish ICE, others comparing the Trump administration to a dictatorship. All of these people with their various concerns, letting people know what they're most passionate about. Garrett?
Chris, have you seen any groups of counter-protesters or anything out there as the afternoon has gone on?
As far as counter-protesters, most of the resistance that we've seen is actually from people driving by, while there's actually a good amount of people who are honking their horns in support of what's happening here. We've seen some people making some obscene gestures, going back and forth with the crowd on that front. But as far as people out here on the street causing any sort of disruption, I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah, some of that honking right now might be from those drivers blocking the intersection behind you that we saw. But you have that everywhere. There's no doubt about that. But 3,000 people, I mean, that's a pretty big crowd. I know this is one of those sites that even over the past few times that we've seen these protests, people have shown up and really shown out there in northern Brevard County.
Yes, one of the organizers tells me every time they have one of these demonstrations, the numbers grow, the logistics grow. For instance, the last time they had this, they didn't have a DJ set up. They didn't have someone sort of corralling the crowd together, leading some of the chants that we're hearing today. We see police out here on the scene. There's traffic control, people to make sure that everybody is safely crossing the street and that everybody is staying in order during this protest and during this demonstration. This is something that they're going to continue to do in the coming months, and hopefully it will continue to grow from their perspective so that they can have their voices heard.
Well, Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate your coverage out there in Coco. Thanks for checking in with us and joining our coverage today.
Thank you.
So Chris, wrapping up from Brevard County there. We know there are a number of events throughout our area still going on. Some of the early window has kind of closed for many of them, but let's see, it's 1:30 right now. So the protest still going on in Coco for another hour and a half, in Orlando for another half hour, Orange City for another hour and a half, Mount Dora for another 2 hours, and then Baldwin Park, theirs doesn't start until 5:30. Now, we have been listening into some of the speakers at that event going on live in Orlando right now, but Fox 35's Matt Trezza also had the chance to speak with some of the protesters who just came out and held signs and kind of took part in some of those events. Here's a little bit of what they had to say to him just a little bit ago.
So tell me, why are you out here today?
Well, we're members of the blind community, and we're looking for support to the 504 bill that Texas has a lawsuit against that's going to take benefits away from all disabled people here in Florida. Mm-hmm. And that goes education, there goes blind education, there goes, and hopefully we keep Lighthouse, mm-hmm. But we're trying to get our senators and congressmen to take us off that lawsuit, mm-hmm. Take the state of Florida, and seeing what we can do better. Mm-hmm. And be seen. We're like, the blind community is sort of pushed aside, but sometimes when we get out, we're seen. It's blind awareness, mm-hmm. And we just want to save the education. We want to save the vocational rehab. We want to save, we go to the local city commissioners here in Orlando. We need more audio pedestrian signals on our streets. So that's why we're out here.
What overall are you displeased with about the administration? I mean, certainly you're out here with a lot of other protesters. What are your concerns?
The war, unauthorized war, tariffs. Everything's more expensive and getting more expensive. And have a little bit more control over the president.
Gotcha. What do you think about all the support you're getting from, there's tens of thousands of people out here too.
I think it's amazing. True Americans will get out. If they don't like something, we stand up. I remember when I was a little kid, it was Vietnam War, and people were in the streets like this. And but it works. Protesting works, and we're peaceful, and we care about people, and that's why we come, to be with other people like us.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hold on a second, ma'am. Hold on a second. Wait, sorry. Let me grab my...
So this was earlier in Orlando as we had the chance to speak with some of the protesters who showed up, a variety of issues on the minds of the folks who have taken to the streets across Florida and across the country today.
Nancy.
And what brought you out here today?
What brought me out here is I want to be a part of something bigger than me. I want to participate in the protest, and I want them to know that we're tired of Donald Trump acting like a king and a dictator, and we're here to let him know that. I'm also here to oppose the lawsuit Texas v. Kennedy, which will undermine the regulations of the 504 law, which was passed in 1973 to protect disability rights. And we're urging the governor and attorney general to withdraw from the lawsuit. So that's one of the reasons I'm here. But as being I'm part of an advocacy organization. I'm secretary of the National Federation of the Blind of Florida, and we support equal rights, and we support rights for the disabled and the blind. And so we're just out here to try to make our voices heard, meet a bunch of nice people, and be a part of this protest.
That was from some of the speakers, or some of the protesters in the crowd there, speaking about the reasons that they are out there today. And we're going to talk a little bit more coming up in a few minutes about the politics of this. Going to have a new political analyst joining us here in a few minutes. But I want to go ahead and get you back live now to downtown Orlando, where we're continuing to hear from some more speakers talking at the event that is going on right now at City Hall Plaza. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Lebanon and neighboring countries have been killed, and the global economy is in chaos. This is an illegal war that is all about Trump's desire to control the whole world. It has nothing to do with keeping us safe. Trump is trying to get Congress to give him $200 billion to pay for his way. But what our tax dollars should be used for is health care, housing, and creating good jobs. We have ICE murdering and kidnapping our friends, neighbors, and family members. And yet we want to act as the world police and drop billion-dollar bombs while people back home suffer? Shame! Who is this for? How many innocent Iranians and Lebanese must be slaughtered, and for what? And now they're talking about boots on the ground. They're talking about sending in the 82nd Airborne. They're talking about sending in Marines. Who is this all for? This is a clear escalation in the war that will cause even more death and destruction and cost us billions. Shame! How can the United States speak of democracy and freedom while slaughtering hundreds of little girls, dropping multiple bombs on schools? Shame! This This administration is on a rampant killing spree, all in an attempt to cement a new age of colonialism, the age-old crime against humanity that only results in displacement, land theft, and genocide. This is why the chokehold around the neck of the Cuban people via genocidal blockade has gotten worse. This is why U.S. warships were sent off the coast of Haiti to put pressure on elections and ensure the selection for Prime Minister went to their Western-backed puppets, all while pursuing ending TPS for Haitians. This is why Maduro and his wife were kidnapped and bombs were dropped all over Venezuela. Shame. Now here we are on the brink of a regional war that could very easily spiral into a world war. And who will benefit from this? Certainly not you or I. No, the ruling class and their billionaires are licking their lips at the opportunity to carve up Iran, just like they're planning to do with Palestine and hope to do with Cuba, Venezuela, and Haiti. Do we see what's happening? Are we making the connections? Where have we heard this story before? One of the Berlin Conference in 1885 that decided Africa's fate and plagued the continent with multiple holocausts and cemented its underdevelopment, or the brutal act of Manifest Destiny that brought death and destruction to the indigenous people of this land. Shame! You've heard me say this before, but the people united will never be defeated. It's on us to act. In the face of great evil, the working people of the United States must declare that enough is enough. Repeat after me, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. It is clearer now than ever that the majority of people in this country are opposed to Trump's agenda of racism, war, and attacks on working families. Today's massive demonstrations all across the country is proof of this. What's the next logical step? I want to say thank you to Ramon for his wonderful speech and setting up what our next task is. To make the people's opposition impossible to ignore, we must have a general strike that shuts down work, school, and shopping.
Another speaker continuing to speak at the City Hall Plaza in downtown Orlando, one of more than 3,300 No Kings protests being held across the country today, not just here in Florida, but also across the country. Here's a live look in St. Paul, Minnesota, where the No Kings, they're kind of calling it the flagship event today. A big crowd out there. We've also been giving you this aerial view showing marchers in Philadelphia moving throughout the city and now converging on this area where they will also be having a rally coming up in just a little bit. But joining us live now to talk about these protests, the politics of the moment as well, we've got UCF Associate Professor Dr. Larry Walker joining us live now via Zoom. Dr. Walker, always good talking with you, and we appreciate you joining us today for our special coverage here.
Good afternoon. Always a pleasure.
So first, I just want to get your reaction to what we are seeing across the country with this scale of protests. You heard me say it, 3,300 locations across the country holding these today. What do you make of this?
So I think the first thing we have to keep in mind is the right to protest is fundamental to a healthy democracy, whether you agree with the protests or not. First Amendment is obviously the First Amendment for a reason, and individuals have the right to peacefully protest. And so far, that's what we've seen today. And I also add that we've seen that throughout U.S. history, whether it's the women's suffrage movement, the fight for civil rights, among other protests throughout U.S. and world history. So this is consistent with a healthy democracy.
And we're giving folks a live look. This is a live from Skyfox, our Skyfox drone over downtown Orlando right now at the crowd that's gathered there. You talk about this being something that is constitutionally protected. It is something that you say important to a functioning and healthy democracy. Why do you think that having that protest, that dissent, and speaking out when folks do disagree with those in power, why do you think that is so important to the functioning of a democracy?
Well, it's difference of opinion, of ideology, beliefs that what makes us a great country. And so I talked about the importance of democracy because this is the bedrock of what this nation is and why we fought with England and fought for our freedom, et cetera. So I just, like I said, when we talk about the amendments to the U.S. Constitution, this is, starting obviously with the First Amendment, we have to remember that, as I said, when you talk about the Boston Tea Party or various other events throughout United States history, that, or even before it was a nation, that essentially were the seeds that laid the foundation for us to fight the Revolutionary War, and then it evolved into the nation we are today. And so when you remove those, and particularly the ability to peacefully protest, then that creates a different kind of government. And I'm sure no American who's listening, watching, et cetera, wants that to happen. And that's why, protests and counter protests are vital to make sure that we have a vibrant democracy, that we continue to have dialogue so that we could try to reach consensus on some issues. Let's be honest, we're not going to always reach it, but at least a respectful understanding that people will have a difference of opinion.
Yeah, let's talk about reaching consensus, because that's something that it seems like is hard nowadays at a lot of different levels. Trying to get someone to change their mind or agree with you when it comes to politics, especially in this day and age. How have we seen that ability to reach consensus or see that other opinion? How have we seen that in some ways become more difficult?
This is a really important question, and I know people feel like this moment in particular, as you highlighted, that there's a lot of disagreement politically, and there is. I don't think anyone would deny that. I think it's important to know, and look, I'm a student of history, is that we've had these ebb and flows throughout United States history where it seems like we're on complete opposites, in terms of individuals throughout the country, in terms of their beliefs. But it is not that unusual for the United States, like I said, and you don't have to go back 100 years. Over the last just the last 20 or 30 years, in terms of some of the topics, that the nation has struggled with, it is not that unusual. What would be unusual if we prevented people, like I said, regardless of how they feel about a particular topic, if we refuse their ability to speak freely, to peacefully protest, then that is counter to what the framers of the Constitution wanted in terms of the ability to have this dialogue. And I go back to the point about our fight for freedom from England. All what you have with the U.S. Constitution in terms of the framers and originally what they do in terms of Declaration of Independence comes from that ability to individuals to feel free, not only in terms of taxation, but also the ability of when it comes to independence, and a lot of what this country is built on is caked into those original Declaration of Independence.
What about changing minds when it comes to something like this? How do protests, and you mentioned some in history, how do protests work to affect change? How are they able to change minds or change policies?
Well, sometimes they're immediate, and sometimes it takes more times. I highlighted the civil rights movement. It was not until the 1960s, the Great Society programs, that the fight for decades in terms of African Americans, that you had the Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act, et cetera. So in cases like that, it can take years. And some other times, particularly I think during this time, protests can really speed up change. And one thing I want to highlight here is the impact social media has on when we have protests here in the United States or abroad for whatever issues, how that can lead to galvanizing other people and, from one coast to the other, that may have never met, but seem to have some of the similar political ideological views. So I would say today that protests can lead to change a lot quicker than in the past because there's so many more ways in which people communicate.
Do you expect, well, this is let me frame it this way. This is the third kind of nationwide No Kings protest day that we have seen. And it seems like this one maybe even has a little more juice based on some of what we have seen from the previous the debate over immigration enforcement, the Department of Homeland Security, those kinds of things, not to mention the war in Iran. And so I'm curious if you think this trend of ongoing protests is something that we will continue to see over the remaining years of this administration and potentially beyond.
So anytime there are national or international geopolitical conversations, obviously the war with Iran, midterms, we have in the governor's race here in Florida, anytime you have political, economic, ideological issues intersect like that, you're going to have people protesting for whatever the issue is. And so it is important to make the connection between where we are today and and voting in November. There is absolutely a connection. And the thing is that most Americans aren't really necessarily engaged in terms of political discourse at the local, state, and federal level from day to day, like you and I are. So when you roll around, when you have an election and midterms, people are more focused on what's happening because they hear it more. People are having conversations about it. And there are the other events they're seeing on television, they're talking to family and friends about, talking about the workplace. So yes, it is likely to see more protests, not just these, but other protests. Like I said, on both sides discussing these issues. But between now and November, you're likely to see those increase because it is election season. And whenever you have election season, from my experience working in politics, is that this drives dialogue and discussion among Americans.
Dr. Larry Walker, UCF associate professor, political analyst as well. We always appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much for taking the time this afternoon and joining our special coverage here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
And that live image that we were showing you there, this is from New York City, where there's a large crowd there. You can see right outside the New York Athletic Club. Folks walking down the street, many holding signs, some more flags there as well. Meanwhile, this event in Orlando is continuing right now. Let's go ahead and listen back in here.
All right, I have a question for you. Are you sick of these slimy Nazi motherfuckers?
All right, well, we will go ahead and apologize for that language that you heard there. We had made it almost to the end of our coverage without any obscenities until then, so that broke our streak, that's for sure. Well, we are getting ready for the rally to begin, and some of these other rallies across the country that are really going to begin kind of picking up, including that what they're calling the signature event, that flagship event in St. Paul, Minnesota this afternoon, that Live Now from Fox is going to have additional coverage of coming up in the next little bit. So at 2 o'clock, we're going to hand things over to them, where they can take you through some of the more national coverage this afternoon, some of those bigger events that are happening in larger cities. We've been watching as the crowds have gathered there in Minneapolis and also in Philadelphia, one of the other ones that's having a big rally there set to begin shortly. This is the crowd in Philly. And if you were with us earlier, just kind of striking to see all of those marchers moving through the streets there and walking around the roundabout that we saw. So really striking images that we've seen in a number of places across the country. So that is, and let me give you a live look right now too in Tampa. While I've got a second here, just take it to route it there. That is, this is a live look in Tampa right now. And you can see some of the signs that are out there Abolish ICE, No Kings 2.0. Trying to read some of these. War crimes won't hide sex crimes, an allusion to the Epstein files, it appears there. Seeing a wide variety of signs. Fascism is not hot, according to one of the signs. No kings, no war, no ICE. Ensuring all people have enough in the richest country in the world should not be radical. So as we've talked about, you're seeing some of the motivations and some of what has brought people out here to these various events today. And so let's go ahead and listen in here. This is in Tampa. I'm not sure what our audio quality is going to be like, but we're going to go ahead and listen in here live in Tampa right now.